How's it going, guys? I know you're not expecting me. You're expecting Chase and Theron and Eric, but you got Rich and Aaron from Deboss Garage, and we are on the way to China. But before we do that, we're actually on the way to the Legislative Assembly in BC because the guys there had so much fun the last time Chase came over, they invited him back. And they wanted to hear what else Chase had to say. But seriously, if you haven't caught up on all of that crap, it is interesting, but we got invited back by the Green Party, and we're going to be talking about some incentives to retrofit the existing pickup trucks with our kits. So it'll be interesting, and it works out well because we're on the way to China, so we have to head that way anyway. So this should be really exciting, and we're looking forward to what kind of shenanigans happen after this. Stick around, here we go.
You know we can't go down the Coquihalla without stopping at the food truck at the brake check. This place has got the best sandwiches, guys. But come on, we are literally at a truck brake check in the middle of the mountains. You get a homemade breakfast sandwich for $5. These are the kind of small businesses we gotta support. They're the ones here for the truckers. They're the ones supporting us. It makes way more sense than buying a damn sandwich for $9, $10 from the Flying J down the road. That's way worse. Okay, so after Vancouver, when we met with Sonia, we talked about it. Well, it's been a couple weeks. We are now in the Legislative Assembly building, and what's going to happen next here?
It's a big day. We're going to introduce the Clean Energy Amendment Act, which is going to make, well, the act itself would make retrofitted vehicles be able to be eligible for the rebates under Clean BC.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm not quite sure how a bill works exactly, but what happens next? So you're going to bring this forward, and then the government or the NDP or
probably ignore it. Let's be honest. But what they can't ignore is the conversation that this has started, and the real solution that this brings that makes it more accessible for people to be able to retrofit their vehicles. If we really want to move to a clean energy economy, then let's make it easy and affordable for people. That seems to be like just a baseline we should be aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly it. It makes it more affordable. It helps out with that energy transition into electric, and it helps local businesses, the local economy. I would really love to hear the reason why they wouldn't want this.
Yeah. Well, this is, I think, what you and I, why we get along, is we're both like, hey, there's a problem, let's try to solve it. You solve problems by building giant electric trucks, and I try to solve problems by putting good policy and good legislation in front of the government. So, but that's the way we should be approaching things. Let's just solve things. Let's just make them work.
Absolutely. Just make it work. I like that.
Yeah.
Leader of the third party.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I'm delighted to introduce to the House today the team from Edison Motors. There's a small sea of plaid up in the gallery today. Chase Barber, Eric Little, Ray Matkin, Rich Bosch, Aaron Porteous, and Theron Groff. Starting as a trucking company, they hauled logs, mining equipment, and drilling rigs across BC, Yukon, and Alberta, but soon grew frustrated with the lack of speed and accessibility to service new vehicles and ready-made electric trucks They decided to rebuild older trucks and began designing their own electric truck, and now are building diesel-electric retrofit kits for trucks. Extraordinary innovators, small business people, and real leaders in turning our economy to a clean energy one right here in BC. Would the House please make the Edison Motors team most welcome?
Introduction of bills.
Leader of third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move that a bill entitled the Clean Energy Amendment Act, of which notice has been given in my name on the order paper, be introduced and read a first time now. Our climate crisis requires a transition to a clean energy future. A just transition means that all British Columbians are able to make choices that reflect their economic situation and their preferences. For many British Columbians, their vehicles are a core part of their lives. Many people want or need a specific type of vehicle for work or for their lifestyle, which may not be available in electric form. For these people, the ability to retrofit an existing vehicle to an electric vehicle is important. For small and innovative businesses across the province, such as Edison Motors, retrofitting vehicles to make them low or zero emissions is both environmentally friendly and good for the economy. This is an example of the transition we should be seeking, one where innovation and ingenuity can help solve the climate crisis while creating good, well-paid, local, secure jobs and helping people continue to enjoy the things that they love. Unfortunately, there isn't currently a fair playing field for these vehicles. While new electric vehicles have access to a range of rebates and grants, people retrofitting their vehicles don't. I know that this lack of fairness will be of concern to all members of this House. Today, I'm proud to introduce a bill that creates that fair playing field by ensuring that retrofitted vehicles are able to have access to the same incentives and grants as electric vehicles, ensuring that all zero-emission vehicles are treated the same way and all British Columbians can afford to move to electric vehicles. I call on this government to recognize the value of this work and hope to debate this bill at second reading.
Members, the question is first reading of the bill. All those in favor indicate aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Member? Division has been called. Members, the question is the first reading of bill entitled Clean Energy Amendment Act 2024, tabled by the leader of the third party. All those in favor, please rise or indicate. Thank you. Be seated. All those opposed, please rise or indicate. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Ms. Chen?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Mr. Klovchuk?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Mr. Russell?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Mr. Singh?
I vote aye.
Nemine contradicende.
Member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you, House, for that show of support. I move that the bill be placed on the orders of the day for second reading at the next sitting of the House after today.
Member, you heard the question. All those in favor indicate aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
That's right. Well, we're next level. Great to be here with Chase Barber and the crew from Edison Motors. Today we introduced the Clean Energy Amendment Act, which would support EVs in BC by including retrofitted vehicles as eligible for the rebates under Clean BC. This is an idea brought to us by Chase and Edison Motors, and we're really pleased to demonstrate that we can have legislation and policies that make the clean energy transition more accessible, more affordable, and one that supports local businesses right here in BC. So, Chase, do you want to say anything before we go to questions?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for doing up that bill. I mean, it's really cool to see that support because it doesn't make sense that the clean energy transition is just brand new cars. When we have a lot of older cars that we could retrofit to being clean, it supports so much more than just a clean transition. It supports that local economy. There's so many garages, shops. We've got some of the shops and installers actually with us. They can retrofit that. It's not just billion-dollar corporations in Ontario, down south making these things. They can be made right here. They can address the energy transition. It's a real sensible way, and it's nice to see that maybe we can get those incentives that apply to the brand new $100,000 Teslas applied to the $20,000, $30,000 retrofits. We're getting a lot of demand. So we do the heavy commercial trucks, the F350s, 450s, 550s and up. And we've got over 2,500 paid reservations for people trying to reserve these kits once we get them out there. The market's largely being overlooked, like the logging, the heavy construction, the vocational, the F450, 550, there's no electric options out there. These are work trucks that people really need to use, and the big OEMs are not electrifying them in the way that the customers want to see it done, and yeah, we're seeing incredible demand.
Are they hybrid or electric? Or?
We can do full electric and plug-in hybrid, so a lot of the times full electric isn't enough to do the job for, say, a service truck or a welding truck that's on site for 12, 14 hours a day on those long days of work. So with a hybrid, they can have a little generator. When their battery runs low, they can fire it up and they can keep operating. But it takes a vehicle that would have a diesel engine and a welder running all 12 hours a day to all of a sudden you can do your welding off the high voltage, your mechanic work off your high voltage batteries, and then you can operate for 8, 9 hours. Batteries get low, the generator fires up for 30 minutes, recharges you, lets you keep working for the rest of the day, and we're seeing a huge demand for that. Well, me and Eric had a trucking company for about 8, 9 years, and then we decided to get into building electric trucks. We saw the benefits of electric, like we were loggers, so you're going uphill empty in BC, you're coming downhill loaded, so you have all that regenerative power. You use the stored potential energy of the logs at the top of the hill to recharge your batteries. We're like, this is best case scenario for electric, but nobody was making an electric truck for loggers, so said, screw it, we'll build our own.
Thankfully, as everybody saw in the vote on our bill, there was unanimous support and consent for the amendments that we're proposing at first reading. So just to be clear, this was a vote on whether the bill actually makes it to the table of the House. The next step is for the government to decide to bring it forward for debate. Not sure if they're going to do that, but what we are accomplishing is a conversation about how do we improve Clean BC, how do we improve the grants programs, how do we ensure that the supports that are being put in place for a clean energy transition are reaching British Columbians who currently can't afford to consider a brand new EV.
Hi, my name is Richard Bosch, and we're from Ontario, Canada, and I'm spearheading the retrofit kit. Now, when we talk about heavy-duty trucks, we are talking specifically about larger trucks. So we're trying to retrofit a division of trucks and vehicles that don't have any option for that yet. We're not retrofitting cars because you can go out and buy an electric car. If you want an electric car, by all means, it makes the most sense. The issue with an electric vehicle is once you get into towing, the range decreases immensely. And we found out that with larger trucks, the F-150 Lightnings, transit vans, things like that, when you load them up and make them heavy, and then expect them to work in our climate, because we have a severe climate of really high temperatures and very low temperatures, electric is no longer ideal. So having customers with electric vehicles, in the summer they're fantastic, it all works great in California where we're moving people and we can charge and it works well. Whereas in Canada, with the cold temperatures and a loaded van, you're getting about a third of the range as advertised under ideal conditions. So we realize that, and we're not trying to compete with giant manufacturers like Ford and Tesla. We are trying to provide a solution for companies where there is no solution. So with a hybrid setup, with a diesel onboard range extender on an electric vehicle, you get the benefits of the torque, the benefits of the fuel savings, but also the benefit that you are never going to be stranded and stuck because you ran out of range. So with the heavier vehicles, it still allows for the towing and all the other perks along with it as well. Because we have diesel on board, We can also warm up the batteries. So if you go to a cold vehicle, it's -8, -20, -30. Those lithium-ion batteries do not like the cold temperatures, and we've seen it where they will not even charge when they're cold. So with our diesel on board, same as what a transport truck would have, a little heater for the cab, we can start circulating the cooling system for the battery and warm these batteries up to a nice optimum temperature where you still get full range in our cold climate. With the generator as well, one of the perks is you have a generator. If we are going to electrify North America, we need electric solutions, and right now that is not there. If you have your own hybrid at home, you have your own generator at home. The power goes out at home, you're able to plug in your vehicle into your house and still keep the furnace on, keep the ice cream cold, and do what you need to do, right? So with these, what we are looking for, we have customers now reaching out to us that buy a brand new truck. And when I say brand new truck, it's not a $20,000, $30,000 work truck with crank windows anymore. You're looking at a 1-ton truck that has immense electronics on it to comply with the emissions that are now mandated. And those emissions are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So now you're buying a truck that's $100,000, $120,000, $130,000, $140,000. So that's honestly the market that we're going to. We have customers that say, we are driving these trucks non-stop, and we miled them out in 4 or 5 years. I bought a $120,000 truck, then I took the box off, I put my service body on it, I put my welder on it, I put my tools in the back, and now after 350,000 miles, 600,000 kilometers, the vehicle's not reliable enough for me to send my guys on a road trip to fix whatever they need to fix, whether that be 5-hour driving or 40 hours driving. And you were forced to buy a whole new vehicle. To rebuild just an engine is not feasible because you're looking at $15,000 to rebuild a modern diesel engine, and then you still have a transmission that has the same amount of miles on it. The axles could go at any time. What we're trying to do is take those vehicles that are now have a good body and have a full service body lined up on it, have all their tools in place. We remove that drive line and replace it with our hybrid kit. Rather than buying a brand new truck and throwing that one away, we replace the interior in it, the driver's seat, make sure it's comfortable, detail the vehicle, and replace that drive line with a hybrid kit. And now we, instead of throwing those vehicles away, we're employing people, shops, local, that are able to do this work. We're trying to keep it simple so that once the installers are trained properly and understand the system, they're able to repair the systems in a cost-effective way. Right to repair is a huge deal where these vehicles are getting so complicated and we are locked out of the computers that you are forced to take these expensive $120,000 trucks back to the dealer. And if anybody here making payments on a $120,000 truck and it is in the shop for 4 weeks, 5 weeks because you can't get a part or a computer chip, that is detrimental to a company. So we are trying to build efficient, safe hybrid kits to give options to the people that have spent immense amount of money on vehicles and want to keep those vehicles on the road.
Yeah.
So
it's exactly like that. Yes, the question is, why would you spend that money? Well, if you got something like a tow truck, something that's in the city, they get miled out before the bodies are good. Like those heavy duty work trucks, they're miled out. They're putting on 100, 200,000 kilometers a year running around. Why buy a $150,000 new truck? Spend 50 grand, replace the driveline, make it electric. But right now, that's what's great about this is that it aligns that incentive to do that.
yeah. So right now, where we are right now is Chase and Eric and his team have made a working prototype semi-truck. Since they started and where they are now, prices have fluctuated immensely. Some parts have got more expensive, some parts have got cheaper. We're in a very unstable economy right now where we don't know what the prices are going to be a year from now. We are in the prototype stage while they're getting the finalized, all the kinks out of their semi-truck. We are building the prototype, but we don't know what the prices are going to be a year from now. It is impossible to say. If we start the groundwork now to get incentives that are fair across the board, that's one more step that would keep customers interested in, yes, this is an option, or no, it's not because I'm going to buy a new vehicle. So.
We're good? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, so we just got back from the Legislative Assembly. We did a little press thing, and now we are here. What happened there? Because apparently that is relatively unprecedented.
Yeah, I think it's only the second time in the history of the building that division's been called on first reading of a bill. So what happened was I introduced the bill after I introduced you. Typically what happens is you move first reading of a bill, everybody in the House says aye, and then you put it on the order papers and you move on. But today, a member of the Conservative caucus called what's called division on the bill. And that, as soon as anybody in the House says the word division, then it's what's called a standing vote. The bells ring, you wait 10 minutes for everyone to get into the chamber, and then you have to stand up and show how you're voting on the bill. The good news is every single MLA stood up in support of the amendments to the Clean Energy Act. So you got support from the whole House.
What Chase is basically doing is taking the entire government and uniting them to become friends.
Yes.
We all agree on the same
That's what
thing.
happened. Yes,
Yeah.
we
For
put
like-
a bill forward, and then everybody became friends, and nothing bad happened immediately after
There was
that
like
at all.
20,
Everyone,
30 seconds of true friendship.
yeah, 30 seconds of friendship. You know what? If the fact that we had 30 seconds of friendship is a win.
Yeah.
I'll call that win.
And then the next steps, because we talked about this, it's unlikely that the government will bring this bill forward for debate. We've got about 2.5 weeks left in the session, but we'll keep following up. I'll follow up in energy estimates this afternoon about understanding how to better improve the rebates and the grants programs. But what we've achieved today, and we had the big press conference afterwards, is putting it on the agenda, making a conversation happen about how do we make rebates for electric vehicles apply to retrofits. How do we make policies that are much more realistic about, as you talked about, the realities of the weather, the terrain, the distances for traveling. And most importantly for me, how do we ensure that these programs and these grants are supporting local BC businesses and making jobs right here in BC?
I think that's, if anything else, that is definitely one of the successful things that's happened about everything with the conflict of interest issue in the grant program, now with this legislation, is that we've made people talk. What is helping the province? What is helping the average person? What is best for the energy transition? And have a real honest conversation about electric vehicles, hybrid, and yeah.
For years, I've said that instead of exporting our raw resources, which is what BC's done for the last 150 years, we should be exporting innovation, technology, ideas. We should be exporting the things that we build right here. And you and Edison Motors are part of that transition to seeing ourselves as a province that's not just about foreign companies coming and taking raw resources out and going and making an economy somewhere else with those resources. Building the clean economy here, whether it's clean energy vehicles or it's actually producing clean energy in communities all over BC, right? We have so much opportunity to really shift the whole economic foundation of this province, but we keep squandering it. We keep saying to multinational companies, hey, just come and take our raw resources and we'll be good with that. Actually, we'll subsidize you while you do it.
We'll pay you to take our raw resources. Yeah. Please mine us.
Yeah. So I think this is what makes me so excited about being a part of this conversation and really putting it on the political agenda.
I think it's important. I think you're 100% right. BC should be the world leader by all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
With the talent we've seen, going to the shows, meeting all the other companies, just the general people in this province, we could be the world's leader in this stuff if we can get out of our own damn way.
Yeah.
So not the best day at work so far, but it's definitely top 5.
It was an incredible day. Unbelievable what happened is that we went in there and they called division, which I guess the last time happened 8 years ago when the government collapsed. Like, it's unheard of. But they called it, there was unanimous support too. Not only did they call division, Division got unanimous support. All political parties got together and said, yes, this is an idea that makes sense. We united.
We were basically fixing the government and getting everybody to just unite and be one person and to a common goal of saving everybody money.
I mean, that was basically the goal. It's like, yeah, let's just have everybody come together. This makes sense. It's better to rebuild than replace.
Yeah.
It's better to fix what you have than just constantly buy new. It's better for small businesses, better for the people that own the trucks, better for the economy as a whole. And there was no political discourse. They called division. They said, yeah, let's get behind this. We'll all stand up and support it.
Yeah.
So we fixed the government.
So next thing is, this is just BC. So as you guys know, we're from Ontario. Aaron and I are from Ontario. So let's try and do the same thing in Ontario, all of Canada. I think this is fun. This is kind of cool. And Chase is not suicidal, and neither am I. So if we're dead in a parking lot with a self-inflicted bullet wound, I don't even own a gun.
Yeah, I want to make that very clear that I'm very happy with my life. Everything is going very well. I've got a lovely family that loves me very much. I'm definitely not depressed, so everything is good. Let's not worry.
I'm definitely not depressed.
No, I'm very
smile a lot.
happy.
So yeah. Thanks, guys. On to the next thing. China?
China.
Let's go.